The People's Platform.
Good evening and welcome to the People's Platform. My guest tonight is Mr. Rohana Hettiarachchi, Executive Director of PAFRL, which is an election observer. Good evening and welcome to the show.
Good evening.
We're looking at 2024 that'll be full of elections, the presidential election, the general election. We also haven't had provincial council elections and local government elections. Talk to us about a priority list. What's going to come first? What should the people be aware of? What should we be afraid of?
Well, I wish to start with the question raised by one of my colleagues, whether the presidents do have right to decide which election is coming first. So I wanted to answer that question in the same manner here. According to the law, based on your question, the presidential election is very clear. So it has to take place before 17th of October. Nobody can change it. The president or a government doesn't have any power over the presidential elections. It goes to directly during once the term is ending, 3 months before the Elections Commission will take actions. An election has to take place before 17th of October. So it's very clear. 2024 we will have a presidential elections closer to the October or first week of October roughly. Then the rest of the elections, whether we will have a parliamentary election first before the presidential elections, whether we will have a local elections, whether we will have a provincial elections before the presidential election. It is legally, president doesn't have any power, the government doesn't have any power to control over there. But in practice, at the moment, the government can decide which election is coming first. For example, I will tell you all 3 elections. The presidents do have a power to dissolve the parliament at any given time. So if we dissolve parliament by tomorrow, so within 3 months parliamentary elections will take place. So he can't decide the date, but at least he can decide in maybe within 2 weeks, because according to the schedule, Elections Commission also have a short of schedule, so they also can't decide by their own. There are limitations, the nomination period, then campaign period, something like that. They need to consider that. So if the government decide or president decide to dissolve the parliamentary election can take place first. Then the local elections. The local election, the Election Commission has taken all the effort. They have called the nominations, and they have print the ballot, they start the training of their polling officials. They have completed halfway through.
Right.
And now only issue is with the money, the resources. So if government decide to release the money by tomorrow, they can proceed with the elections. There are only one court case pending. There are a couple of court cases are pending, but most of the cases are supported to elections. I mean, we all are, even PAFRL case also in there at the Supreme Court, but we are asking soon elections and the release the money. Only one case against that. But otherwise, if the government issue the money or release the money to the Elections Commission can proceed with that, except this subject to the court matter. Then the provincial elections, it's due for almost 6 years on all now. So 9 provinces differ way one to other, but generally they're 5 to 6 years we can say. So if government decide to go for a provincial election with the previous system, it's a simple amendment. Within 3 months they can bring this amendment and they can decide the provincial election. Actually, the Honorable MP Mr. Sumandiran from the TNA, Tamil National Party, he brought a private member bill and he appealed to the Parliament and the government to to make that simple amendment to the Elections Act, but the government doesn't support it. He publicly say it. So if President wanted to, or the ruling coalitions wanted to have a provincial election, again they can do it within a 3 or 4 months time. So in that scenario, the government can decide which election is coming first. Legally they can't, they don't have power. Then again the let's say the presidential election will come first, then I am sure if they go after the presidential election result, if the result is clear majority or absolute majority, then whoever come into power immediately after the presidential election, parliamentary elections also can take place. There is a time because we can go up to August 2025 for the parliamentary elections, but in practical in Sri Lankan history, whoever won the elections, presidential elections, if there is if they can dissolve the, because the earlier situation was quite different, because earlier until 4.5 years the president didn't have power to dissolve the parliament, but with 21st amendment, the present amendment, the president can dissolve, so whoever come into power. So that means after the presidential elections they will go for a parliamentary election. So one thing we are sure, the presidential elections will take place by October in 2024.
All right, fantastic. That was a very comprehensive explanation. Thank you very much for that. Let's simplify the conversation surrounding people's representatives, or those who hold the nominations, the politicians and the people. If we take the nomination lists, we need to talk about intra-party democracy or lack thereof. Now we have to go and cast our vote for people whose names are already on the lists. You always speak about bringing in clean candidates, right?
Yeah.
With your March 12th declaration, which was a fabulous document, which I do think you should bring it back again,
of course, yeah.
Mr. Hettiarachchi. So talk to us about how it's important for political parties to also put in names of people who the public will want as their politicians, as their representatives. Because if we have a list of bad eggs, we have to vote for the least worst candidate,
exactly,
right?
Exactly. You are perfectly correct. The first demand, we should start from the voter side, the candidate list. Because I mean, if you look at the last couple of months or last over 1 year, the people were criticizing the entire parliament. They all asked these 225 parliamentarians to go. But I am not saying that, because I know that in personally also, out of these 225 there are good politicians also in parliament. But generally that's their demand. But now there is no such a serious demand.
Right.
So what will happen if we are not make our demand in advance before they announce the elections? The political party will go with the existing politicians.
Yeah.
So if you look at the existing parliament now, so at least 100% of parliamentarians, not the 100 of parliamentarians out of 225, they are there almost 30-40 years. If you look at the present president, he was there almost 45 years in a different capacity, but in parliament. If you look at the present prime minister, he also same, more than 40. If you look at Mahinda Rajapaksa, honorable president, in the past president, he is also more than 40-45 years. Even the opposition leader and the rest of the parliamentarians also, most party leaders, the TNA, Muslim Congress, all the parties, they were there almost 30 to 40 years. So we are electing the same people, maybe from the different parties. So today, one MP will be in representing party A. Tomorrow, the next elections, he will be representing party B, but the same people. So people don't have, if people are not making such a demand to change that continuous demand, that they will come with the same existing politician. So that's one side, the demanding party to bring the new blood. into the politics, because there are enough youngest, those who have innovative ideas, and because the present parliament is very clear, they were not success in their parliamentary role as a lawmakers or as a finance managers. So we can talk about hours and hours on that. So then the second point, once the nomination list prepared and the election day, people need to take a very informed decisions. So they need to look at the track record of the candidate. But unfortunately in Sri Lanka, we are not serious about their personal characteristics, whether they are capable, whether they are qualified, whether they are good in lawmaking, whether they are good in financing, whether they are good, whether they have a vision, or whether they are do sense with the people's will. People don't care about it. They just go and vote. So we need to have a tool. That's why I think you mentioned this March 12 criteria, and also we have introduced a scorecard for voters to assess their candidate.
Let's talk a bit about that actually.
So the scorecard, which is the concept here is, so we have prepared with some sort of criteria, but we can forget about the whole criteria which we prepared. So any voter, before they vote, I mean, they can't do it in just before one day before elections or on the elections day. They need to plan it in advance. Once the nomination list come, they can list out all the names in their specific district.
Right.
I mean, they can do it in a different way. So in one way, if once you decide based on their manifestos or their policies, so you can decide which party you are going to vote.
Okay.
Number one. Number two, you can list out the candidate, the names on that party, and you can put a criteria according to your wish, right? Then you can give the marks out of 100 or out of 10 or whatever. You can give the marks. Then you can see who is the best out of that, because you may not in a positions to get a best people in the upcoming parliamentary elections,
right.
Because it's we can't think about in that way, because we know that excess in parliament, a majority will come from their list. So at least we can select whoever in the list, the best people among the list. So people need to look at their track record, and people need to see what they have done in their previous parliamentary period. At least they whether they did their job properly.
Yeah.
Because parliamentarians, I'm sorry to say that, I mean officially, theoretically, 8 days per month for their working period, and not for 8 hours per day. I mean, if they just get into the parliamentary premises, it mark as they come, right? And you will get a 2,500 travel allowance also. So, but in you and me, we have to work the 8 hours, and maybe 7 days per week, the full weeks, and at least 25 days per month. But these people have a very limited time, only for 8 days per week, per month, and a couple of hours. But I wanted to highlight again, because otherwise it will not complete my answer. There are some parliamentarians, maybe around 40-50 parliamentarians, they work hard from morning to midnight in many of these parliamentary committees. So we need to respect them out of 225. But majority, we don't see that they deliver their job.
Yeah.
At least they can't come to the parliament, no. Even the special parliamentary date was fixed very recently. I think it was in Sunday.
Yeah.
So 10 million basically the cost for the parliament. And they couldn't bring
the quorum
20 people.
Meant,
20 people. Yeah. That means 7%. So if one province, if you look at Colombo and Gampaha district, maybe the Colombo itself may be enough, 20 parliamentarians, right? So even if Colombo people come to parliament, so you can run the parliament. So this is really unfortunate situations. So as a citizens, we need to look at these things. We need to question these things. Otherwise, they will play with us during elections day or closer to the elections. They will come and enjoy with us, and they distribute certain things, maybe dry ration packs, maybe agriculture items, or maybe in cash. So many ways they know how to cheat us.
Yeah.
So at least now, with after Aragalaya and facing such economic crisis, at least now we need to realize what is our responsibility as a citizens.
All right. We are in conversation with Mr. Rohana Hettiarachchi, the Executive Director of PAFRL, which is an election observer. We're going for a break. We'll be right back.
The People's Platform.
Gypsies live in concert with Sirasa TV, where music meets the spirit of the season. Christmas with Gypsies. Back after 25 years to Vihara Mahadevi Open Air. Sirasa Flashtown 23 Gypsies live in concert. Featuring BNS, Hana and Nadima. Get your tickets now. Media sponsors Sirasa TV and TV1.
මේ වෙනකොට ලංකාවේ තියෙන්නේ දේශපාලන සබ්බැත්තේ සහ නීතියේ විකාර රූපීන් අර්ථ නිරූපයන් අතර මත ගැටුමක්. මේ ඝට්ටනය වෙනුවෙන් ලාංකික දේශපාලනික පුරවැසියාට අනාගතයේ තමන් පතපු හිණේ වෙනුවෙන් පෙරට යීමේ යුතුකමක් තියෙනවා. ඒ නිසා ඔබ රට වෙනුවෙන් පෙරට එන්න.
TV1. TV for life.
Ex-Health Minister Keheliya re-clarifies medicine deals and says he is unaware of the payments. President appoints 10 ministry secretaries and 2 chief secretaries. President meets Tamil political parties from the north and east. New constitution within a year after the presidential poll. 7 kilograms of heroin netted in 4 days of Operation Yuktiya. Over 10,000 suspects arrested.
TV1. TV for life. The People's Platform.
Welcome back. In the run-up to a presidential election and a general election and possibly provincial council and local government elections, what do we need to know? Let's find out. My guest tonight is Rohana Hettiarachchi, Executive Director of PAFRL, which is an election observer. Mr. Hettiarachchi, let's talk a bit about the importance of political parties attaching importance to their political manifestos. The importance that they attach to being bound by what is said in the election manifestos, and the importance of people actually reading the political manifestos and holding politicians to account when they don't perform their responsibilities.
Actually, I'm really happy that you raised that question. In Sri Lankan manifestos, in practically they are coming up with during presidential elections and the parliamentary elections. Those are the major elections where the power can change. If you look at all the manifestos in the past 10 years, 20 years, all the manifestos are nice documents. Whoever come into power, all the parties who brought up the manifestos are good. Their policies there may be slightly difference, but all manifestos are good. But there is no legal binding. There is no social binding with these manifestos. In theory, as you said, the manifestos is the one we bind each other, the political party candidate and the voters. So we vote for the manifesto. So that is their promises list or their policy document.
Right.
But people are not serious about. Very recently, I went for a lecture, one of the university in Colombo district. I asked whether they have seen the university students, whether they have seen their manifesto. First question was whether you have voted for any parliamentary and the presidential election. They said yes. Have you seen the manifestos? No. So you can't ask the second question whether you read it or not, right? So this is the situations. Nobody is serious about. Therefore, political parties also not serious. Now, PAFREL has taken an initiative. I'm happy to share this here because the elections are coming up. How manifesto? What is the framework of manifestos?
Okay.
Because manifestos doesn't give us how they are going to implement their policies.
Right.
Only occasion we can, in recent history, we can remember during Yahapalana period, the 100 days document, because there was a set of activities and given the time frame.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying it's a perfect, but there are in certain extent. So we are having consultations with the political parties to set the system. So basically what we are thinking, all manifestos should have a time frame. Okay, you can't just say that we are doing this and that. So you need to tell us as a party in the manifesto, we are going to do this within first 6 months or within 1 year.
Right.
And also they need to tell us how they are going to resource allocate for that, whether they have a system to find the resources.
Sure.
And then they need to tell us how they are going to implement, how they are going to monitor. So they need to come up with practical document, and just a simple parameters, but we need to have a lengthy discussions before we come up with the final document. Then the first parliamentary meeting, whoever won the elections, they need to discuss at the parliament. So, okay, this is our 5 years the policy document, and they need to pass it in the parliament, and they need to take action first day onwards. But here at the moment nobody is serious about it. Even the party leader doesn't know what is their manifestos. Maybe some academic people, or there are some
branding agencies
intellectual peoples. They will come up with good proposals because it's easy. You and me also can do that.
Yeah.
And the party leader, somebody will identify some sexy point out of the manifestos to sell it into the public, the citizens. That is what they have done over the decades now. Now it is high time for us to question their manifestos, demand their promises. So to do that, again, like in the nominations list, we have to start our demanding in advance before they draft their manifestos. We need to tell them, okay, look, this is what we need. So if you are coming with that, if you are willing to fulfill that, tell us your time frame, tell us how you are going to do that. Because if you look at the manifestos and the next budget, whoever won the previous elections, there is no link up with the manifesto and their budget allocations. So they know how to handle the people. So this is the time we need to make such a demand to the political party.
Mr. Hettiarachchi, I don't know if this is a crazy idea, but do you think it's possible for maybe civil society organizations to collectively get together and formulate a template of sorts, where of a policy document, a political party manifesto, so that the main political parties that are contesting the elections could then make sure that they follow the template, because otherwise it's just going to be a branding document with glossy paper and fancy words with nothing at the end of it. So if we can sectorally maybe divide the areas and the timelines, then probably that will also show greater citizen buy-in for our own lives. What do you think of that?
Actually, Sonali, I think that's what I was trying to explain. So that is the duty of the people at the moment. That is the duty of the civil society. That is the duty of the media also. We need to come up with our proposal to the political party, rather than waiting to see their manifestos. So that is what I call the framework for manifestos. So it can be either citizens, it can be either the civil society, or collectively with the political party, media, and everyone together. So we need to make such demand to the political party. Otherwise, they will come with their own framework. They will not serious about how they are going to implement. They will not serious about the resource part. They are not serious about the challenges or implementation part. So people need to get together. Actually, we do have voters in this country. That is the problem. We just mark the ballot. Let's forget about them. The next again, they are waiting to the next elections to chase them out. And the next elections, they will bring the previous people again. So this is high time for people to get together, the civil society to get together, to draft such a framework and sell them and demand them. Okay, whatever the party A, B, Z, D, whoever is contesting in upcoming parliamentary elections or the presidential election, this is the framework. So you need to come with your manifesto with that parameters.
We can look at potentially this idea of having a template for the political party manifesto, as well as a template for political party candidates, right?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. I'd also like to very briefly, before wrapping up, ask you about campaign finance, the importance of politicians not wasting hundreds of millions of rupees, tens of millions of rupees on elections without any accountability. We don't know where the money comes from. We don't know where the money is going. Earlier this year, a campaign finance statute was enacted. Speak to us about how significant this is as well, because we haven't seen campaign finance laws in Sri Lanka thus far.
It is very significant. I mean, if you can remember the last local elections, we didn't have a campaign finance ceiling or such a political finance law. But under the existing law at that time, you can't bribe the voters, right? So that is one of our the critical issue here. So one candidate in Monragala district, he spent 40 million rupees for small locality. So this is how money is involved with the politics. Now, actually, PAFREL took an initiative in 2015 to draft the campaign finance bill in consultation with political party, elections commission, and the civil society election management body, elections observer group.
Right.
So it went in a couple of rounds, and finally it went to the elections commission and the attorney's department, but not the original versions. But now we have a campaign finance ceiling. Just before the last local elections, they have brought up, but it's funny actually, they try to brought this campaign finance also just to delay the local elections, but somehow election management bodies, elections commission, we need to thank them, they manage it. But anyway, now we have a ceiling. We have a campaign finance law. Based on that law, the local council elections, the candidate can spend only 20 rupees per one person. If your locality, if there is a 2,000 voters are in your local area, you can spend only 20,000. The political parties also can spend in the same amount. So there is a financial ceiling now. It can change election to elections. The mandate has given to the elections commissions to decide in consultation with the political party and the independent groups just before the elections, before start the campaign. Election commissions will come up with the different ceiling. The local council is 20 rupees, parliamentary may be the different amount, presidential may be the different amount. And also expenses report. So end of the election, I have to submit both reports, where the money came. It can be either my own money, or maybe my friend's money, or maybe business people has given some money, or voters. It can be either way. and what is my expenses. But you have to immediately after the elections you have to give this report. Then the Elections Commission need to publish it. Then any voters or any political party can request those report, and if you have a proper data on such and such a candidate or such and such a political party, you can look at whether he has given the real information or false information. If it is a false information, so you can challenge. So that is a legal framework. But you know, in Sri Lanka, practice can be little different, and also there is no such institutions to monitor that. Legally they have not mentioned it, either Elections Commission or a police, or it's not clear. The police can take actions, but in our argument we should set up a system or institutions to monitor that. But even the existing law now, you and me also can monitor, the candidate also can monitor. If you and me in an opponent candidate, so I can look at your expenses.
Sure.
And once I received your report after the elections, if I can prove that you have not given the right information, then I can challenge. Then the authority can dismiss you, and then you will not be able to contest, I think 3 years or 4 years for next elections.
Right. So better safeguards are in place.
Certain extent, yes.
Okay.
Compare with other countries. This is the first time we are having this now.
Sure.
So in certain extent this is good, but the implementation part we need to serious about it. The election actually nowadays we are discussing with the Elections Commissions and the observers group for implementation mechanism. So Sri Lankan contest, I am happy to share, I am happy to highlight whatever success so far we have achieved as collective effort.
Right.
I will tell you one example. Yesterday we managed to issue a ID card for the disabled community. They were facing big issue during elections, because each and every elections they need to meet the doctor, get the doctor's certificate, and they have to follow the process to go with some assistance, or if you go with your own vehicle, there is a long process. So every elections you have to do it. Even if you have a 2 elections per year, you have to go 2 times to meet the doctors. But elections commissions, PAFL, disabled groups, we all work together, and yesterday it was a national event in Puttlam district. We all together we managed to issue in a sense actually Elections Commission is the legal authority, but we facilitate. So the collectively campaign finance also we need to take some steps, monitoring mechanism, how we can success, because the political party doesn't want to success, they just brought it, but they want to play with it. So we need to careful on that, how we are going to implement that in a fruitful manner.
Always a pleasure to speak with you, Mr. Rohana Hettiarachchi. Thank you. Thank you for watching us. We'll see you again next week. Have a safe weekend. Good night.